Hello and welcome to this new lecture on hooks. In the last lecture we covered what different events are and how to use them. In this presentation we'll discuss how to use the events, but this time with a dynamic operation system. Hooks are necessary if you want to produce data dynamically through events. Although there are many hooks in React Native, most are used at the beginner level and rely on states and props. So let's talk about using state first. Data updating or dynamic use is the primary task when using state. Although the data from the function was also used when working with React, you should use React ideas. Actually, React may appropriately use these JavaScript principles to obtain data of any kind. To use state, you should first import state if you want to use it. To grasp the concept of hooks, you can now comment out the const variable and remove the onPress event. So create a variable now, call it array, and add useState. useState brackets can either be left empty or can automatically add values. After calling user in the array, which will return the value you immediately obtained from the user, you will then call it setUser. When you update the value of the user, setUser will be applied. Now, create the function that will update the state and use it. Okay, so use setUser after invoking the method, Carlos. As there is now no value in useState by default, nothing will be called in the application if you save the file. By using strings, indicate that the name Joe is in use. Now, after deleting the meta brains, call the user in the text element. Now, if you save the file, you will notice that the application prints Joe as the user's name by default. You now want Carlos to print in the program instead of Joe when you click on the button, triggering the event. To achieve this, you must use a key press in the button tag and invoke the function name. Save the file now. Then open the browser and push the press here button. The name will instantly change from Joe to Carlos when you press the button. Therefore, this was just a straightforward React Native hook that allowed for dynamic data updating. Now, if you declare a second variable with the name letData and give it the name Sam, you can call it with a different name in a function. For example, data equals Peter. Okay, so save the file now, then launch the program. You want the Joe and Sam to change into Carlos and Peter when you click the buttons. However, when you click the name of the button, Joe will convert into Carlos automatically. However, because user is already set in a useState hook, and data is not used in a useState hook, the name Sam won't change to Peter. The question before us now is the following. So can you use the useState hook in other components? This basically refers to whether it will work if you set the user's data in the app.js file and use the event in another component. Alright, so using state hook, which can only change data within a component, is the solution because it will not function in another component. As a result, this was the fundamental lecture in which the useState notion was completely explained. I hope you liked it and you understood the concept better. Okay, so any concepts that are missing will be covered in subsequent lectures, don't worry about it. But for now, that's pretty much it for this one, so let's move on.